We run the midnight bus for monsters, and a human got on by mistake. There are rules to follow when working for the midnight bus. 1. The bus should start at precisely 12:15 a.m. and end at 3:15 a.m., not a minute before or later. The bus is only meant for creatures of the underworld. All the creatures that go bump in the night, and no humans apart from Mia and I or any members from our clans serving the bus are allowed to ride the bus. Stick to the route and never veer off it. And last, but not the least, unless you want to die a horrific death, no humans can get off the bus in the middle of the journey, and trust me, monsters will try to lure you off the bus from time to time. It has happened before, so be vigilant all the time. All the passengers of the bus, no matter how harmless they look, can and will kill you if given the chance. Before we begin the story, I would like to welcome you to the world of monsters and bears. Hope you enjoy the stories you will find on the channel, and do let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to give the story a like if you had enjoyed it and want more stories in this universe or similar to this. Chapter 1. The Glamour and the Midnight Bus. By day, we were the kind of girls people stared at. At St. Bellamy's Academy, every hallway parted around us, daughters of massive fortune empires, heirs to conglomerates, coming from the kind of families with skyscrapers in their names. Boys tripped over themselves for a small smile from us, while girls copied our hair, our shoes, our clothes. And all that is what we let them see, a fraction of our real lives. Our real selves. Why not? It was easier than explaining the truth. Because at every midnight, our lives belong to something else entirely. You see, our families have a secret. When the clock struck 12 a.m., we slipped out of silk gowns and into our midnight uniforms, sharp black trimmed with silver, charms tucked neatly into pockets, crests stitched into collars that glowed faintly under moonlight. The uniforms of the midnight bus. Rich girls by day, conductors of a bus by night. Not just any old bus, a bus for monsters and spirits. Anything from the other world, and our families have been serving on this bus generation after generation. It's not the typical glamorous or corporate life of heiresses. Not even really fair. But duty has a way of clinging to bloodlines, and ours sparkled with both stock portfolios and ancient oaths. And waiting for us, faithful as always, was the bus. It never arrived early, never late. One breath past 12, the mist on the drive would thicken, shimmer, then part, and out of it, the double-decker would roll. It was no ordinary vehicle. Its glorious double-decker body gleamed like black glass, polished so deep the moonlight swam across it. Brass fixtures curled like vines around its windows. The lanterns on either side burned with soft green fire, and when the doors hissed open, the air smelled faintly of rain and sandalwood, the scent preferred by the spirits. Inside, velvet seats waited, plush and wine-red, wood panels polished smooth by generations of reapers before us. The lanterns glowed with a warmth that no electricity could mimic. Spiraling grand staircase that leads to the driver's seat and the upper deck of the bus. A trolley sat in the aisle, already stocked with offerings, steaming flasks of sake, herbal teas that smelled like riverbanks, sweet rice confections in delicate paper. Somehow, it always knew what the passengers would want. The first time you step inside, the bus feels impossibly large, like the aisles could stretch on forever. It was both a haven and a trap, cozy enough to lull you, enchanted enough to remind you this was no ordinary ride. Our families called it the service of gratitude, a way to pay respect for all the blessings we have received. We called it the night shift. Generation after generation, all the members from our families who have turned of age have served the night shift. Currently, it was mine and my best friend's turn to serve the other world through the bus. The rules were as old as our family's fortunes. Serve the monsters. Keep to the route. Never get off the bus in the middle of the route. Only monsters are allowed on and off along the route. And never let a human onto the bus. Most nights, it was routine. Serve the banshee her tea and listen to her gossip. Scratch the werewolf's shoulder without wrinkling your nose. Find a vampire child's lost tooth on the bus, even if he boarded with a missing tooth. The bus had a way of producing what was needed, and drop the passengers off at their destinations. We weren't Grim Reapers in the dramatic sense, no sides, no cloaks. But the truth was simpler and stranger. We drove the route between worlds. We smiled, we served, we never got off the bus. It wasn't a curse, not exactly. But it wasn't optional either. And tonight, just like every night, we climbed aboard thinking, or rather hoping for, easy shift. Of course, the moment you think that, that's when everything goes wrong. Chapter 2. An easy night, supposedly. Velvet's still warm, I muttered, brushing my hand over the seat cushions as I walked down the aisle. Like it's been waiting for us. That's because it has, my best friend drawled from the driver's seat upstairs, hands resting lightly on the brass wheel. Midnight never waits for late girls. Remember that. The bus had to start its journey at 12:15 a.m. precisely every night. I rolled my eyes, but I smiled too. She loved to act like the serious one. She looked sharp as any model behind that wheel, hair tied with a velvet ribbon, uniform perfectly pressed, like we were heading to a photo shoot instead of chauffeuring creatures that go bump in the night. The bus gave a soft sigh as we pulled away from the drive, lantern light flickering over the polished railings. Outside, the streets blurred into fog. Inside, the trolley chimed, a delicate bell, letting us know the first passengers were ready. I straightened, plastered on the smile my family had drilled into me since childhood, and opened the doors at the first stop of the night. An elderly banshee shuffled aboard, her shawl dragging mist behind her. Her hair floated like tangled cobwebs, her eyes pale and watery. She clutched a coin purse as if this was still a mortal bus line. She was a regular, though we didn't know her name. She never offered it. If there is one thing you learn from this line of work, don't ask questions if the answers are not voluntarily given. Monsters are temperamental. And trust me, you don't want to be the one dealing with that. Aftermath. "Good evening, ma'am," I said sweetly, taking her token and slipping it into the slot that swallowed it whole with a glow. "Seat upstairs is free. Would you like some tea?" "Chamomile, dear," she croaked. Then, before I could move, and don't think I haven't noticed you've been slouching lately. "Straighten those shoulders, mm. The conductor of the night bus should look sharp. Hasn't your father taught you anything from his time serving?" Behind me, my best friend's laughter echoed down the stairwell. I scowled, smoothing my uniform as the banshee unnaturally hobbled up the steps. The next few stops were just as harmless. A kelpie dripped pond water all over the entry mat before ordering riverweed tea. A pair of goblins fought over who got the last packet of salted beans until I pulled another pouch from thin air, courtesy of the trolley's underworld magic. I never got to taste any of the snacks, of course. Food from the underworld is not to be eaten by the living. Not unless you want to keep your soul together. See that? I said finally, addressing my best friend Mia, slipping into the jump seat opposite the stairwell after settling down the customers. Easy night. Boring even. Blessedly uneventful. We must be having our rare lucky shifts. You shouldn't say that, Bella. I looked up. Mai's reflection caught mine in the rearview glass, one eyebrow raised. What? It's true. You could jinx us. Take it back. Don't be ridiculous. It's just superstition. The bus groaned as if disagreeing with me. The lantern swayed. Outside, the mist thickened until the road looked more like a dream than asphalt. I swallowed. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said it out loud. The bell chimed again. Another stop. Another passenger waiting in the dark. And this one didn't feel like the others. Chapter 3. The Wrong Passenger. The bus slowed with a hiss of brakes, lanterns flickering against the fog. Another stop. I straightened automatically, smoothing my uniform, ready to meet whatever creature the night would toss at us. Oni, ghoul, wraith, we'd seen them all. But what climbed the steps this time wasn't any of them. A ghost of a boy. He looked maybe our age, maybe a little older. Uniform blazer still buttoned from whatever prep school he'd wandered from, tie loosened around his neck. His hair was messy, damp from the mist, and his eyes, sharp, amused, like he'd just stepped into a joke no one else understood. He looked too alive to be dead. For a second, my senses hummed. There it was, a flicker of undead aura. Faint enough, though, I relaxed. Okay, he wasn't human. Probably some low-level spirit clinging to form. Evening. I was beginning to think I missed the last bus, he said, panting and looking around the lower deck of the bus for a vacant seat. His voice carried warmth. Too much warmth. I blinked. Warmth? Spirits didn't have that. Still, I offered the trained smile. Welcome aboard. The upper deck's open. He brushed past me, shoulders brushing mine. Warm. Solid. Real. I froze. From the driver's seat above, my friend's voice drifted down, low and sharp after the boy passed her. Did you feel that? I felt it, I whispered back, rushing upstairs, eyes locked on his retreating figure as he slid into a velvet seat by the window. His breath fogged the glass. His weight sank into the cushion like any living body. My stomach dropped. He's human. The word tasted like poison. My friend's hands tightened on the wheel. You've got to be kidding me. I thought he was undead, I swear. Well, he's not. She shot me a look through the rearview mirror, eyes narrowed. This is not good. Mia was understating the disastrous situation we have got ourselves into. One of the cardinal rules of the monster bus, no humans allowed. And in the off chance they ever manage to stumble into the bus, they are not allowed to get off the bus till the night shift has ended. It will become the responsibility of the shift workers to keep the human alive and prevent the both sides from knowing about each other's presence. Not good at all. Panic flared under my ribs. There was a couple of passengers on the upper deck. The old grandma banshee was humming, still unaware of the human. The Kelpie slurped his tea. Goblins whispered over salted beans. Any one of them could smell a heartbeat if they got close enough. Which is precisely when the human would be in mortal peril. And here we were, with a heartbeat sitting pretty in row 3, ready to become a monster meal. The bus rumbled in motion in its usual route, lantern swaying, the mist outside curling tighter around us. I pressed my palms flat against my skirt, forcing a smile onto my face. Okay, it's fine. We'll figure this out. Mia's voice, dry, accusatory, but you could hear the edge in it. You're the conductor. You better fix this or the human will turn into pulp and haunt us for who knows how long. I swallowed hard, turned back to the boy. He was staring straight at me, lips quirking into a grin like he knew exactly how much trouble he'd just caused. Chapter 4. Cover-up Chaos. The banshee tottered towards the stairs just as I was trying not to hyperventilate. Her pale eyes scanned the aisle. I forced my brightest, sweetest smile. "Another cup of chamomile, ma'am?" She squinted at me, then at the boy slouched by the window. I stepped sideways, blocking her line of sight, trolley wheels squeaking as I maneuvered between them. "Here, fresh and hot," I chirped, nearly sloshing tea onto my own shoes. The banshee sniffed, muttered something about clumsy youth, and shuffled back to her seat. My knees nearly buckled in relief. "Smooth," my friend's voice floated down from the driver's perch, dry as bone dust. "Shut up and keep driving," I hissed, plastering on another smile as I pushed the trolley back down the aisle. The boy raised an eyebrow at me, watching the act. His lips curved into that same amused grin. "You have a bad poker face. Your face might as well have neon signs pointing at you declaring your panic." I nearly dropped the teapot. He was standing too close, towering over me. "I'm not panicking." "Yes, you are." He leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping. "And I'd really like to know why." Before I could answer, the Kelpie lurched from his seat, eyes narrowing. He sniffed the air, sharp and wet like a hound on a trail. My pulse spiked. "Problem?" I said, sweetly, pushing the boy roughly onto his seat, gripping the trolley handle tight enough to hurt. The Kelpie tilted his head, staring toward row 3. For one terrifying moment, I thought he'd lunge straight at the boy. Mia jerked the wheel upstairs. The bus swerved just enough to rattle the lanterns and send the Kelpie stumbling back into his seat. "I give her a quick prayer as a thank you." "Drink your tea," she called down coolly. "You're sloshing water all over my floor." The Kelpie snarled, but obeyed. I blew out a breath, turned back to the boy. "You need to use the bathroom," I snapped, yanking him up by the sleeve before he could protest. He stumbled after me, confusion flashing in his eyes. What?" I shoved him into the tiny WC, followed, and slammed the door behind us. He blinked at me, cramped between the wall and sink. Then his grin returned, lazy and amused. "This is a bold move. Didn't think you were the type to drag boys into bathrooms on a bus." Heat shot to my face. "I am not." I jabbed a finger at his chest, realizing too late how solid and warm it felt under my hand. "Hitting on you." He laughed softly, leaning back against the sink. "Could have fooled me." I groaned, pressing my forehead against the door. "This night is going to kill me." From the driver's seat, my friend's voice crackled through the intercom. "If you two are done making new memories, Bella, you might want to remember we still have 35 minutes of route left before the terminus. And a bus full of passengers who'd love a midnight snack." I closed my eyes. The night shift had never felt so long. I didn't realize at that moment how strange and nonchalant the mysterious boy's actions were. Chapter 5. The Wrong Kind of Energy. I shoved the boy back into his seat closest to Mia the moment the coast was clear, smoothing my uniform with shaking hands. My smile was stretched so tight it could have cracked porcelain. "Stay," I muttered. "Don't talk. Don't move. Don't breathe too loud." "Not a lot of options left," he said dryly, sinking deeper into the velvet cushion. Still not questioning my strange behavior or the stranger passengers of the bus. I bit back a retort and pushed the trolley down the aisle again, past rows of monsters who would have torn him apart if they knew what sat 3 feet away. Every smile I flashed felt sharp as a blade. Every step was too loud. Then it happened. The lanterns above flickered. For just a moment, the air around the boy shimmered. My senses prickled. Undead energy. I froze, staring. And then it was gone. Like a mirage, there 1 second, swallowed by warmth the next. My chest tightened. He shouldn't be giving off that aura at all. Humans didn't. Living flesh didn't. But I knew what I'd felt. Mia's voice crackled through our personal intercom, low and tense. You felt that too, didn't you? Yes, I whispered. Then we've got bigger problems than just hiding him. Before I could answer, one of the goblins leaned into the aisle, beady eyes glittering. He sniffed. Hard. His head turned, sharp as a hound, straight toward the boy's seat. Panic jolted through me. Snack service, I said too sharply, shoving a paper packet under his nose. Fresh beans. Salted just the way you like them, and this. This is a new flavor we are experimenting on. What do you think? The goblin blinked, distracted instantly, and snatched the bag. He tore into it with both hands, scattering shells all over the floor. I nearly collapsed, the air leaving my body. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. The boy leaned back against his seat, watching me with an infuriating smirk. You're good at this, he murmured when the others couldn't hear. Good at what? I snapped. Pretending you don't want me dead. I nearly choked on my own breath, narrowing my eyes at him. What does he know about the bus? About us? You have no idea how close you are. He just laughed softly, eyes catching the lantern light like he was enjoying every second of this nightmare. From above, my friend's voice came sharp and strained. Focus, or you'll both end up as permanent passengers. I clenched my fists, forcing the trolley onward. She was right. One slip, one crack, and the whole bus would turn on us. And all the while, that strange flicker of energy pulsed at the edge of my senses, undead, alive, both, neither. What was he? Chapter 6, The Last Stop. The bus finally hissed to a halt, brakes squealing against the cobblestones of the last stop. Lantern light flickered across empty seats, banshee gone, goblins gone, kelpie gone. Only one passenger remained. Him. The clock on the dash read 3:15 a.m. My friend exhaled upstairs, shoulders loosening for the first time all night. Route complete, she murmured. We survived. I wasn't so sure. I stood in the aisle, arms crossed, glaring at the boy like he'd single-handedly ruined my GPA, my family's reputation, and my sanity. He lounged in his seat as if we hadn't just spent 3 hours hiding him from half a bus full of creatures who would have devoured him raw. And I knew for a fact he knew what the creatures on the bus were. It's impossible he didn't, with hints he dropped while he spoke, and that strange aura that appears around him from time to time. You can get off now, I snapped. He tilted his head, studying me. Then, with a grin that made my stomach twist in ways I hated, he said, You know, your aesthetics don't match your personality. I blinked. Excuse me? You've got the polished, heir to a conglomerate thing down. His eyes sweeping lazily at my uniform, my posture, the silver-stitched crest at my collar. But underneath you are not boring. And not in a bad way. In an interesting way. Heat rushed to my face before I could stop it. You're insufferable. Maybe. He stood, sliding his hands into his pockets, pushing against the side of the bus. When he passed me, the brush of his shoulder sent another prickle of undead energy crawling under my skin. Just a second, then it was gone. At the door, my friend leaned out. "You're sure you'll be fine?" she asked, guilt flickering in her voice. "We could give you a ride. It's the middle of nowhere." The boy glanced past us in the direction my friend was pointing to at the sleek black car parked by the curb, its butler already holding the door open for us. His eyebrow arched, just slightly. He didn't ask. Didn't comment. Instead, he smiled. "I'll manage." He stepped down into the mist, shoes clicking against wet stone. He paused once, turned over his shoulder, eyes locking on mine. "See you around, pretty girl." And then he walked into the fog, swallowed whole in 3 steps. Before I could think of questioning his identity, for a long moment, I just stood there, heart hammering like the bus's own engine. "Close the doors," my friend called softly. "We've done enough for tonight. The rest can wait for tomorrow." I did. The brass hissed shut, lanterns dimmed, and the double-decker growled as it pulled back into the mist, out of sight, to wherever it parked till next shift. Mia and I leaned against our respective windows in the car as we were driven back by Mia's butler to the campus dorms. Silence enveloping us. The both of us making it a point to not mention the strange boy deliberately. Another night's shift is complete. A secret born for the both of us to carry. And the strangest passenger we'd ever had, still out there. And I had a feeling this won't be the last we see of him. The end. Happy Halloween.